What's going on, guys? It's Arctic Flush here, and I'm doing something a little unique on the channel today. I've decided I'm going to make my own bracket on the 2022 playoffs and pretty much kind of explain my reasonings or where I see each team landing and how it's going to play out. I do want to keep in mind, though, before I start that I am a Hawks and 76ers fan, but I promise that there will be no bias intended in this video. That being said, let's start with the play-ins on the West. So Clippers and Timberwolves. Timberwolves have a really good story where Cat is finally breaking out and Anthony Edwards is playing pretty decent. The team is pretty nice, and the Clippers have just been rattled with injuries. But the Clippers, I believe, have better coaching and just more of a playoff experience to know how to win games. Not saying that the Timberwolves are bad, but I feel like just in this matchup, coaching is going to be really important because you can take any team and win. So I have the Clippers winning and taking the seventh seed and playing against the Memphis Grizzlies. For the 9 and 10 slot, Pelicans and Spurs. Same thing. I kind of have coaching, so I feel like Greg Popovich and the Spurs can beat the New Orleans Pelicans. Plus, the Pelicans are just one of those odd teams that look good on paper, but just doesn't seem to do much. So I kind of have the Spurs wing, and then Timberwolves versus Spurs. I have the Timberwolves beating the Spurs. I feel like they are a better team overall, and Cat is just having a pretty good year. So that's the West done. Moving on to the East, Nets versus Cavs. I'm gonna have Nets winning and against the Cavaliers. I believe Jared Allen is gonna miss Tuesday's game against the Nets, so he won't be able to play. And I feel like the Nets, I think the Nets will be at home, so they'll just have all the momentum and win that game. Hawks Hornets. Um, I like both teams. I think both teams are. I mean, the Hawks have kind of been young forever now. You think that they would finally break out, but they've had the same team, and I believe John Collins is out. And the Hornets have just been a team struggling with lack of defense, and the Hawks also have lack of defense. They're both pretty good shooting teams, and both practically have a point guard who can just shoot from anywhere. But if I had to pick a team, I would pick the Hawks. And I'm not being biased, but I feel like Trae Young, he can bring out the play. And we've seen playoff. Oops, not mean to do that. We have seen playoff Trae Young before, and he is really good when he's good. And then Cavs versus Hawks. It's a what's it called? A toss up. That stutter was pretty bad. It is a toss up. I'll have the Hawks winning though against the Cavs. All right, now that the bracket is done, I will start with the West since the East looks really threatening. So, no surprise, I'm gonna have Phoenix winning and most likely four. Phoenix has just been really good this year. They are the fifth best offensive rated team and the third best defensive rated team, and they have the fourth least likely team to have a turnover. They're just a really solid team, seventh in assists. And I mean, you the Suns could probably just win it all, but the bracket's not over. And also at this point, I should mention that I'm doing all this live. I don't have a team winning at the moment. I'm just gonna share my thoughts and see how they go. Mavericks and Jazz. So the problem with the Mavericks every year is that they kind of land around this spot, but they seem to never break out of it. And Luca has always been playing really well, and I wouldn't say at an MVP level, but he plays insanely well, and it's really unfortunate that they haven't been able to build successfully around him. That being said, the Mavericks are a pretty nice defensive team, but they struggle on offense. As for the Jazz are actually a very solid team. I like Quinn Snyder. I think Quinn Snyder is a really good coach in the NBA, and I think Donovan Mitchell is playing really well. I mean, him and Rudy Gobert aren't the best combo in my opinion, but with this matchup, I have the Jazz probably winning in 6 or 7 against the Mavericks. So Warriors and Nuggets are a very interesting series, and I'm probably going to stun everybody by having the Nuggets beating the Warriors. And my main reason is just because the Warriors don't have Steph Curry at the moment. He's questionable. If Curry can't come back, then I just don't know how they're going to stop Jokic on a potential second MVP season run. And I feel like the Nuggets just, are solid when Jokic is on the floor, but if Jokic isn't playing, then of course that's probably the Warriors' only chance of advantage. The Warriors, like always, they're a pretty good shooting team. Let's see, where are the Warriors? I have my notes. Actually, I lied. They're a really good defensive team this year. Believe it or not, they are 16th rated on offense, and they actually have the second to last most turnovers. They're 29th in turnovers. They had averaged 15 turnovers a game. And that sounds pretty bad, and that's because it is. The Nuggets, however, are kind of close. They're 26, but they have a high offensive rating and a high assist rating. And I feel like the Nuggets are just a more solid team, and that's just my take on that team. I won't spend too much long. Grizzlies and Clippers. This is easily a Grizzlies victory. They're just a well-rounded team, and the Clippers without Kawhi, coaching won't even matter anymore. Doc Lue, he's really good. Paul George is really good. Everyone on the Clippers is really good, but they're not going to really have much done on that side of the bracket. What the hell am I saying? All right, I might as well just also do the first round for the other side instead of like going all the way in the West. So Heat and Hawks, two really nice teams, but of course the Heat are the better team in my opinion. You see, I'm not biased, I promise. Thing compliments about the Heat though, they are fourth best defensive rated team. They're fifth in offensive rating, or not fifth, sorry, fifth in assist rating, 12th in offensive rating, and they're top 10 in rebounds. So they're practically just a top 10 team in general, top 10 team in general. Jeez, I cannot speak. All right, this is a very interesting series right here with these two teams. So the 76ers have a potential MVP in Joel Embiid. But the problem with the Sixers is that they are just not good at all when he's not playing. They are actually the worst team in offensive rating and 19th on defensive rating or defensive rebounding, offensive rebound and defensive rebound. Their offense is pretty nice when Joel is playing. If Joel is not playing, they're bad. And the new addition to James Harden, it's it's not working as intended as Philly fans would hope. But it really just the series really revolves around if Embiid can play really well. And there is talk that Matisse Thybulle probably cannot play in Toronto, which doesn't change much of the Sixers' chances at winning, but he does contribute a lot though. That being said, it's not a clear, easy victory for the Raptors though, because while the Raptors actually do have a pretty nice team, they're second in offensive rebounding and third team in turnovers, which is really good. They actually are dead last for assists. They do not pass the ball a lot. They're 15th rated in offensive rating. And they're actually not a really good three-point shooting team. The Sixers are in top 10 range. The Raptors are not even in top 20. So it's going to be a really crazy playoff series. I like how Siakam is playing a bit better now with lately. But if you were to give me Embiid or Siakam, I'm gonna have to go with Embiid. So that's my take on that series. It's a really good series, though. I wouldn't be surprised if the Raptors win, but that's just my take. Bucks and Bulls. I'm just gonna instantly go with Bucks. Ever since Lonzo Ball got hurt, the Bulls have just not been the same team, and they're actually one of the bottom teams on defense overall. And they're 27th also in assists rating. They're just not a really good team at the moment. They had a really good year in really good start in the beginning, but the Bucks are the Bucks, and they'll take it down in probably four. And then Celtics and Nets, another really interesting playoff series. We've actually seen this series last year, where the Nets were the second and the Celtics were the seventh. But considering how both teams play and how both teams are, you can just have either or take. If we're talking about the Celtics, though, they are the best defensive rated team in the NBA, but they lack offense, or at least trying to get a lot of offensive possessions. The Nets are a really good three-point shooting team, but they also lack the defensive requirements. And while the series is like tricky to grasp, and I actually don't know. I think if the Nets can outperform the Celtics, then they'll win. But the Celtics feel like a more solid team. This is actually really tricky for me. Like I said, I'm doing this all live. I'm gonna have to go. I'm gonna have to go with the Celtics. I'm sorry, Nets fans. They're just a really solid team in general. The Nets really don't have much defensive capability, and I feel like that'll be good. All right, let's go back to the West. And I feel like the Suns and Jazz series is actually it's going to be a unique series. If the Jazz can stay healthy, I feel like there is a small chance they could upset the Suns. But that being said, the Suns are very good at what they do. So once again, I'm going to have the Suns winning, not in four, but maybe five or six, I'd say. And Nuggets and Grizzlies, another really good playoff series. But I'm going to have to go with the Grizzlies because I feel like the Grizzlies are just a more solid team. Like I said, if the Nuggets don't have uh, Jokic on the floor, they're gonna struggle. But even when Ja's off the floor, the Grizzlies have went 20-2 without him. They win a lot when he's not playing, which is funny. So I have the Grizzlies winning there. Going to the Heat and Sixers, another really good playoff series. Like this is gonna be a really fun NBA playoff series to watch. Now, I'll keep this one short, but the Heat are gonna win this one, and I am a Sixers fan saying that. The Heat are just a really solid team. They have everything you can want. They have, by the way, the Heat are the best three-point percentage shooting team in the NBA right now. But they have everything you need. They have shooting, they have defense, they have a superstar that they can pass to end the game. They're just really solid. They're just a really solid team. The only problem the Heat have is that they give a lot of turnovers, which would be the Sixers' only chance at winning. But the Sixers do not have good turnover to offensive point ratio, and I don't think Harden is going to like perform well. And I think this is unfortunately another second round exit for the Sixers. Bucks and Celtics, however, this is a very, very fun series. Another good series. I feel like if the Celtics can coach, I feel like they actually could upset the Bucks. But I actually have the Bucks winning. I just feel like once again they're just a more solid team. The Celtics don't have too much offensive power as the Bucks have. The Bucks are third offensive rated, and they're also sixth best in three-point shooting. The Celtics are 14th best in three-point shooting, but and ninth in offensive rating. Not to say that offense is the only thing that's important, but I feel like Giannis is better than Tatum. Not and Tatum is a fantastic player, but I feel like Giannis coming back from last year, he'll win that. All right, this is a really pretty Final Four. If you ask me, I really love all these teams that are going in. Suns and Grizzlies is going to be probably more enjoyable to watch than the Heat and Bucks, in my opinion. Both teams are really well built and they're really well centered and well coordinated. But I have the Suns going back to the finals. I feel like the Suns are going to have the playoff experience. They have Chris Paul running the floor. And I feel like the Grizzlies will collapse. I wouldn't be surprised if the Grizzlies won though. Like I said, anything can happen this year in the playoffs. This is just my prediction. But the Grizzlies are a really well team. But the Suns, they went crazy this year in the regular season, and we've seen them in the playoffs when they play well. So I have the Suns making it back. And then the Heat and Bucks, another fantastic series. And I'm gonna have to give it to the Bucks again. From what did I just do? Oh, I copied the background. From what we've seen Giannis do to the Heat last year and really upsetting sweep, I don't know how you can convince me that they can't do it again. Giannis is still playing at an MVP level, and I feel like the Bucks just know how to. Where did this? Hold on, I'm so sorry. Okay, yeah, I feel like Giannis just knows how to win more games, and it's going to be a repeat of last year's playoffs. And both these teams are really good, and I actually have Phoenix winning it all. Just from looking at it, I feel like Phoenix is out for vengeance this year. I feel like they want to win it more. I mean, Giannis is going to give it his all, but from what we've seen Phoenix do, I just see the Suns uh, trying to get that revenge on the Bucks. The Bucks will try to defend it, but I feel like the Suns will make it out. And that's my live bold prediction of the playoffs. Of course, there are so many variants. You could have the Nets beating the Celtics. You could have the Raptors beating the Sixers. You can have the Mavericks beating the Jazz, or maybe the Warriors beating the Nuggets. It's a really this is a really fantastic playoff year we're gonna have, and you can make any prediction you want, and it can still be logical. You know, like any team. I wouldn't say any team, but I'd say there's a lot of teams out there that can actually win it all. So, let me know if you agree or disagree with my opinion. Just, of course, just be aware that it is just my opinion. You don't have to murder me for thinking a certain team beats another certain team or the Sun's winning it all. But yeah, thank you guys for watching, and talk to y'all later.